from Auburn. God, I cannot think of his name. Bo something. So
Yeah, I haven't followed college football in so long, man.
I love college
I
football.
used to love I used to love Oregon just because of Marcus Mariota. Like I loved Marcus Mariota,
Yeah.
man. He was like the GOAT in college
Ohio
and then
Ohio
kind
State
of
made
just fell
Marcus
off after he
Mariota.
left.
He did not fall off. He had like 3 good seasons with the Titans.
No, I'm saying like I kind of just fell off with college football
Oh,
after he went
yeah.
pro because like
Well,
he really had me invested in freaking college football, man.
Ohio State made Mariota look like a
Well, welcome to
No, I
Around
don't
the
think so.
Cartoon Horn. Here's the NFL's top 100. Yeah, that was like the first 2 minutes is just you guys talking about Mariota. But
That's okay. Cold
Oh,
intro, you know.
goated.
I'm your host Jordan Jackson, and if there was a real NFL draft, Tom Brady wouldn't be in the top 10. Derek, you want to start us off?
Wow.
Yeah, if there was a real NFL draft, I go by Young Pyramid, by the way. There's a real NFL draft. It would be hard to not pick Aaron Donald first.
George?
If there was a real NFL draft, I would take TJ Watt #1 overall.
You lying. You know you lying. Matt?
If there is a real NFL draft, Aaron Rodgers isn't top five.
Cameron?
If there's a real NFL draft, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes #1.
It's probably who
Yeah.
I'd go with also. All
Him
right.
or Aaron.
Yeah. My bias would take Aaron for sure. But let's jump into this. As you can tell, we're going over the top NFL's top 100 players based on their rankings and the players. George, you want to start us off? You see anything wrong here? Anybody too low? Anybody too high?
Justin Tucker should be higher. He's the greatest kicker of all time. Kyle Pitts is crazy to be in that high. He shouldn't be in the top 100. And Leonard Williams is really good to see in the top 100 finally. That's all I got from that part.
All right. Cameron, you want to go?
I wouldn't have Kirk Cousins in the top 100. I think he's a choke artist.
That it?
I think Von Miller should be a little higher. Well, I guess it's going off of last year, so
Yeah.
that's it.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I completely agree with Cameron. I don't even think Kirk Cousins should even be in the top 100. I just like laughed so hard when I saw that, and then Justin Tucker was just like sitting above him. I was like, man, how bad of a quarterback do you need to be to have like Justin Tucker above you? But other than that, everything looks like pretty good. I honestly think Von Miller should like be 98 to 90, like 9 to 100. I just like him starting off with the Broncos was just kind of weird to me. In the beginning of the season was just a really slow start for him. So, guess he just finished out the season strong.
All right. Before you go, Derek, it looked like George had a opposition to you guys talking about Kirk Cousins. You got anything to say?
Wait, bro. I got some.
All right, fine. Derek, go. Then George, if you have anything.
All right. All right. So I actually disagree with the Kirk Cousins take. I think he's like perfect because if you think of like an
Perfect.
average, like not perfect, but like perfectly
Oh,
ranked.
I got you.
So if you think of like an average quarterback, let's say 16th best starting quarterback in the league, Kirk Cousins is that guy. He's like Mr. Average. So to have him right where he's at it makes sense because you don't want to not have 16 quarterbacks in your top 100. Quarterback's the most important position in the NFL. Now, two, I really like that they honor Kyle Juszczyk every year because like fullback is a dying like spot on the field, a position. So the fact that they honor a fullback is great, and I like that. And then I agree with like the Von Miller. He kind of fell off, so he might be a little high because I think Justin Tucker should definitely be way above him.
Okay. Like what you said, I don't think I agree with the top 16 quarterbacks should be in just because they're quarterbacks. George, did you have anything to say?
The Kirk Cousins slander is ridiculous. He's a good quarterback. People
Yeah.
just hate him because for no reason. He is a solid quarterback. He's better than Alex Smith. Ever,
What?
ever was.
Matt's got his hand up. You got something?
Yeah, this is complete bias from George. I remember when Kirk Cousins first came in the league, and he literally claimed he was going to be the next Tom Brady, and he's been on his coattail ever since that. Ever since then, so there's no putting yourself at Tom Brady level. There's no way that George can't say that he's a good quarterback at this point.
Is he exposing you for your Skip Bayless take, George?
Well, Kirk Cousins hasn't had a season where he's thrown more than 13 interceptions, and he's thrown for 30 touchdowns consistently. That's a good quarterback.
That's
He's
fair.
had nothing but 4,000-yard seasons. He has almost a 5,000-yard season. And yeah, I stand by that take because I remember it. Because he was drafted in the fucking like 6th round or some shit. I don't remember exactly when, but in the same draft as Robert Griffin III. And he's out here balling, having a better career than RG3 could have ever had.
RG3 got hurt though.
True. All right, let's move on. We spent way too much time talking about Kirk Cousins.
We haven't spent enough time talking about Kirk Cousins.
All right, that was 100 through 91. Let's look at 90 through 81. And I think Derek went last. I can't remember. We talked so much, but Derek, you want to
I
go?
did, yeah, so I think Mac Jones is too high. Did I see Mac Jones? Yeah, Mac Jones definitely isn't better than Kirk Cousins. I don't think he had as good of a season as Kirk Cousins. And to put him after his rookie season, that was an average season for a quarterback, is absurd. Also, OBJ is too high. He did finish out the season strong with the Rams, but the first 8 games with the Browns, he did nothing. Like absolutely nothing. And if they're ranking Von Miller off of what he did with the Broncos, and then to have OBJ in the, at 90 is absurd.
I mean, I'll wait. Matt, you want to go?
Yeah, everything on this list. I disagree with you, Derek. I mean, Mac Jones had a really amazing rookie season, man. He passed for almost 4,000 yards his rookie season with 22 touchdowns. Like that's a pretty for being a rookie. Yeah, I might put him a little bit higher, but other than that, everything looks pretty decent. OBJ, I would maybe put a little bit lower on the list. I agree with you, Derek. I mean, he didn't even play half of the season last year. And then also, I'm surprised about Justin Simmons. I'm really surprised about Justin Simmons just dropping so much because I think he's such a great safety in the league. I didn't know if they think that he had such a bad season last year, but I think he should be a little bit higher.
OBJ played most of last season. George?
How many games?
Most? I'll look it up while George is going.
I think OBJ is somewhat fairly ranked because of the playoff run that they had, if we're including that. And then the only thing I think is crazy is Wyatt Teller being so low, because he's probably the second best guard in the league right behind Quentin Nelson, who's pretty high ranked if I remember correctly. Shaquille Barrett also deserves to be way higher. He's a consistent 15 or plus 10 sack guy who just never gets any love, I feel.
Okay.
And Mac Jones should be way lower. The man had a game where he threw no passes last season. And he looks terrible this year.
I agree with that. All right, before Cameron goes, OBJ played 13 games. 14 games.
13 regular season games or 14 total?
Regular season.
Okay, that's fair.
Anyways, Cameron, you ready?
I agree with everything on the list. I can see why OBJ is higher than Von Miller because, I mean, Von Miller didn't really do much until halfway through the season, if not more. And then Justin Simmons, he's on the cusp of being a superstar, but he's not there yet. So I agree with this.
All right, all right. My rebuttal to Derek: it's hard to be putting up stats when Baker's skipping the ball to you across the field. You got your rebuttal.
Not to the OBJ thing. You can rebuttal that, but I just want to mention the Mac Jones and Kirk Cousins thing again because Matt kind of went after me for that. Kirk Cousins had 400 more yards, 11 more touchdowns, and 7 less interceptions. 6 less interceptions.
Yeah, 7 years later into the league, dude was a rookie, man, with no wide receivers. You got one of the best receivers on the Vikings. Yeah, of course he's gonna have 700 more yards
That is a
and more
fair point
touchdowns.
from both of you. Let's move on.
He also had the greatest coach of all time.
Oh, Belichick. All right, 71 through 80. Cameron, start us off now.
Damn, I didn't even get time to look at it.
All right, George, start us off.
All right, James Conner should be way higher. He was near the top of the league in rushing touchdowns and looked incredible there. Plus, just a great story in general. Rashawn Slater's fine. Trey Hendrickson, I think, should be higher. Super underloved guy. Everything else looks about right in my opinion, except for Cordell Patterson. That's a really weird one.
Cameron, you ready now?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I agree with it. I don't see myself putting any of these players anywhere else.
All right. Derek, you got it? What you got a take?
Yeah, so I actually disagree with George. I think James Conner should be a little lower. And it might just be because I didn't hear a lot about James Conner last year, but he kind of seemed like he fell off a little bit after leaving the Steelers. And I get George is a Steelers fan, so he has love for James Conner, but I feel like he kind of did less than he ever did with the Steelers while he was on the Cardinals.
Just fact checked it. I guess George was right. James Conner was second in touchdowns. So I got to give you the misinformation point, bro.
Touchdowns. We're talking touchdowns, not yards.
He had 15 last year.
Touchdowns are important. That's second in the league.
Yeah. Chase Edmonds carried that back. I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
All right, go ahead, Matt. Finish this round.
Yeah, everything looks pretty accurate on these 10 players. I'm kind of surprised with Demario Davis. I'm surprised he's still like it showed last year he was 64. I would still put him probably 64 range, but I mean I still think he had a really great season last year. I think he would be a little higher. That's about it. Still very consistent when it comes to his defense. So,
All right, before we move on, George, I have a question. Can you name another player besides Matt Ryan who was on the Falcons?
On the Falcons last year,
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts,
All right, one more.
Cordero Patterson, Jake Matthews, was Keanu Neal on that team last year?
All right, you ruined the bit. Never mind. Let's move on. I was going to say that's why Cordell's this high. But Mr. Unlimited. Let's get the Broncos fans' take.
That's right.
I know you guys are both Broncos fans, but Matt's seen it already. So, Matt, you want to go?
I'm reading over it. Everything looks good. Sorry, because I can't really see on your end, so I'm scrolling through the website. Derek Carr looks pretty even. Russell Wilson, pretty mid-year last year. I'd put him at the right where he is. Cameron Jordan, the Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good list because Tyrann Mathieu was like out mostly with like a concussion last year, wasn't he? So, I mean, he really didn't have a lot of production, but when he did come back, he did make the Chiefs defense much better. Like that was such a big thing. So I put him maybe a little bit higher, but with him being out, I think just a little bit higher. That's it. Everything else looks pretty good.
All right, Cam, you ready?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
I think Russell Wilson should be a little higher. I'm not trying to fanboy, but he had a decent season last year. He had 25 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions with 3,000 yards. I mean, that was pretty good. And then I also think Cameron Jordan and Chandler Jones should be a little higher. They're some of the best defensive players in the NFL right now.
Okay, all right. Derek,
Do you want me to go last? Because you already know what I'm doing.
sure. George, you want to go?
I think this list is pretty accurate. Jalen Waddle being this high is a little crazy, but otherwise, Tyrann Matthews great and injured, so it makes sense he's on the list but low. Cam Jordan should probably be higher, but mid-tier list.
All right, Derek, you want to finish it off now?
All right, so I'll start with Jalen Waddle. I think he's ranked pretty perfectly. You know, he had a really, really good rookie season. It kind of got outshined by Jamar Chase. So I think he fits perfectly there. Russ should be way lower. Derek Carr had 1,700 more yards. He did have less touchdowns and more interceptions, but his best receiver killed a girl and went to jail. His coach got fired. He had an interim coach. Darren Waller, his probably best receiver, after, even with Henry Ruggs there, was hurt for parts of the season. His best receiver was Hunter Renfrow. So he dealt with all this adversity, led his team to the playoffs. Russ had 7 wins, and Derek Carr literally balled out, proved why he's the starting quarterback with the Raiders, and he definitely had a better season than Russ did. And if we're basing this off last year, Russ should be like maybe 90.
All right, Matt, I see you had your hand up. You want to respond?
7 wins and like a pretty amazing division that they were in last year. So that's all I'd have to say on that. I mean, the Raiders, I mean, AFC West definitely underperformed what we expected last year. So I still give Russell Wilson a little bit more credit for that because I truly think he was in a pretty good division last year.
All right, I did some fact checking. Are you sure Chandler Jones is in the right spot, Cameron?
I don't know. Maybe not.
What if I told you he only had 5.5 sacks over the last 16 games of the season?
All right, that's fair. I guess you deserve to be there.
Yeah, because he had that 5-sack game in the beginning, and then he finished with 10.5
Oh
sacks.
yeah, I don't know how I forgot about that.
All right.
And it racked up 5 sacks against the Titans in week 1 and then ended up.
Let's move on. Oh, yeah, and you guys might want to look up 21 through 30 on your own because could not find a picture like this for them. Derek, you want to start this one off? I don't think you've started any yet.
Yeah, I'll let me take a quick look.
All right, George, you want to go while he's looking?
Oh, I was ready.
All right, Derek, you want to go while George is thinking about going?
Yeah, so I think Alvin Kamara could probably be a little bit lower just because he was injured for, a bit of last season and his numbers kind of fell down. I like where mostly everybody else is. Mike Evans could probably be a little higher too because I think he's kind of underappreciated and overlooked because of where he's at and who he has thrown him the ball. But he always has steady stats and Jeffrey Simmons deserves to be in 54. He balled out last year, and he's a key focus to that 7th ranked defense for last season. So I really like this list for these 60 to 51.
All right, let's just go down the line, George.
I think Max Crosby should be a little higher. I think he's kind of an unsung hero in Las Vegas. He's really been kind of the glue to that defense and that whole crazy situation that went on there last year. But like he's like the Derek Carr, but for the opposite side of the ball. I think Darren Waller should be way higher, even though he was injured. I think he still was dominant when he was on the field. Kyler Murray, I think, is way too freaking high. I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, and I'll die on that sword. And that's where I'll end, just in
Okay.
case anybody has something to say about that.
All right, Matt.
Yeah. Why isn't he getting docked the point? But everything looks pretty good. I agree with you, George. I think Crosby should be higher. I think since he did step up this year, this is like a good position to be in. Definitely does have a big impact on the defense for the Raiders. Mike Evans, I agree as well. He needs to be much higher. He is very underappreciated receiver. I think he's honestly been one of the most consistent receivers in the NFL, like since he's been drafted. And I don't think we have a lot of very consistent receivers, and Mike Evans is one of those. Also, he caught and threw Tom Brady's 500th touchdown pass into the crowd. That was a pretty funny moment. But yeah.
All right, Cameron.
I agree with most of the list, except I think maybe Alvin Kamara could be a little lower just because he didn't do as great last season. He went from 16 touchdowns to only 4. So I can see him going down a little bit.
All right. All right. Everybody got their word in for these guys?
Yeah.
All right. Raise your hand if you think the quarterback who was undefeated the longest last season should be around the 50s. Wow, nobody?
George, I think, has it.
Well, think about the question. What do you mean? Like, so the player that went like with the longest win streak should be in the 50s? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the quarterback of that team should be in the 50s.
You want? I mean, I'm gonna defend Dak here. So if you want me
Dak?
to, wait, who are you talking about?
Talking about Kyler Murray, bro. They were like 8-0 to start the season. Oh, you lucky, George. You lucky these guys agreed with you, Pat. All right. Raise your hand if only one 100-yard game would put you in the top 50. Or top 60, I guess. No? Nobody? All right, cool. Darren Waller don't deserve to be up here, man. He didn't even crack 700 yards last year. Let's go on.
That's fair. That's fair.
Now you can talk about Dak, Derek. You want to start it off?
Well, I actually was looking at this list and I was about to say Dak needs to be lower, and then I looked at his stats, and he actually had a pretty good season last year. If you look at it, he threw 10 interceptions. He had 500 yards and 37 touchdowns, which for this spot, 37 touchdowns is a really good spot for somebody like that. Still don't think he should be above Derek Carr personally, so maybe a little bit lower there. Besides that, I like where he is. Austin Eckler, I think, should probably be a little bit higher too, because he kind of helped Justin Herbert out the most on that offensive side. He was catching touchdowns. I mean, he had 20 touchdowns last season, so that should put him well above Alvin Kamara at least, instead of 7 spots. Or I mean, I was looking at Dak, instead of 5 spots. But besides that, I like most of the rest of the list. Fred Warner didn't have as good of a season as before, so it makes sense he dropped a little bit, but not too much. So yeah, I like the rest of the list.
All right, Cameron, you want to go?
I don't have much to say this time. Kind of agree with everything.
Guys, I need.
I mean, I would say I put Dak Prescott lower just because I don't like the Cowboys, but I'm not going to do that.
All right, Matt, you want to
go? I agree with Derek. I think Austin Eckler should be a little bit higher. He did help Herbert out so much last year, and he really showed himself as a good two-way back when it comes to running and receiving. Total of 1,500 yards that it shows on the run and in the air. So as much as I hate the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, he had a great season last year. He really did have a really good season. Nothing makes me happier than watching them choke in the playoffs. But, every season he seems to have a good season. He just can never deliver in the freaking playoffs. And also Cameron Hayward, so awesome that he was able to jump up from the list from last year as well. For how like old he is in his like 11th season and still putting up amazing numbers, like it's just he's at a great 42 is a good number for him.
All right, George looks like he disagrees, and it's his turn anyways.
All right. I'll start off by saying it's really cool to see Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer like in the same grouping on this list because you really can't say one without the other. Everybody on this list is perfectly placed except for one person, and this is no bias whatsoever. But Cam Hayward should be a top 30 player in the league. Man had his best season he's potentially ever had last year and has been a consistent player his entire career. He had 86 tackles and 10 sacks last year. That's top D lineman stuff, and a 3-4 especially.
See, part of me wants to give you the point for having your stats. The other part knows you're wearing a Steelers jersey and you're saying the Steelers guy should go up. So
I said no bias whatsoever.
Cameron, his fate is in your hand. Point, no point. What do you got?
He had
I'd say
he
give him a
had
point.
You're lucky Cameron's a
He-
nice guy.
he had T.J. Watt getting double teamed the whole game.
But one more thing before I advance, or two more things. Shout out to Robert Quinn. Nice for him to get back up on here, bro. Jake Locker could put up Dak numbers against that cupcake schedule he played. Moving on. Let's see. Matt, you want to start this one?
Yeah. I'm just scrolling through it. Everything that I see looks really good. Can't believe that honestly. DeAndre Hopkins got in the top 40 and like didn't even play half of the freaking season. That's pretty freaking crazy to me. I think he should be a little bit lower on the list personally. As much as I love D Hop, Chris Jones, that's a good. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. Lamar Jackson, surprised he's this high up on the numbers too. I think he should be higher. Or low on the numbers. He should be higher personally. Everything looks good though.
All right, George, you're looking at me. You want to go?
Sure, I'll go. I super agree with Matt. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins should even be on the list, arguably. He had a super mid season. I think he's on there for his name alone. Otherwise, I think the rest of the list looks pretty great. Chris Jones getting a big shout out. Herbert and Jackson being in a close grouping makes a little bit of sense. And Mark Andrews being super high is definitely well deserved.
All right, Cameron, you want to go?
Yeah. I'm gonna say Keenan Allen should be a little higher, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. He had a really good season last season, and I think Lamar Jackson should be probably lower, like maybe in the 50s with the season he had last year. He didn't do that great last year. Both Derek Carr and Russell Wilson had better seasons than him, so I don't know why he. And I'm a fan of Lamar Jackson, and I still don't see why he's so high. He only had 16 touchdowns to 13 interceptions.
Oh, yeah. Do you count his rushing touchdowns though?
No.
All right, Derek, you want to go? Well,
Almost
Cameron
rushed
might
for
be looking for
1,000
those.
yards.
Yeah, so I actually am surprised Lamar Jackson's on this list at all after the season he had. He had 2 rushing touchdowns last year. He had 16 passing touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Combined with his rushing yards, he had like 3,700 yards total. And like that's insane with like Kirk Cousins being in the 90s. And Lamar Jackson, just because he's Lamar Jackson and he does Lamar Jackson things and makes the highlights, is this high. Also, it kind of sucks that Nick Chubb is this low. He had an off season last year and he split the carries a lot with Kareem Hunt, and he was injury prone. But Nick Chubb is definitely a better running back than the 33rd overall top player. And I think personally, I think he's a better running back than Dalvin Cook. He just had an off year, so that one sucks to see. Not as much as he doesn't deserve it. Justin Herbert should be probably 35. He didn't get his team to the playoffs, but he threw for like 5,000 yards. Um, he had a really good season. And a lot of that had to do with Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, but he really put in work and showed his improvements over the last year, and I think he's a little too low.
All right, let me stand up for Lamar a little bit. Let me revise my question. Should the guy who led the team to the number 1 seed in the AFC, and then they fell all the way out of the playoffs when he got hurt, does that change anything?
He still played 12 games.
Yeah, but I bet he would trade the first 12 for the last 12.
True.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's move on. You guys are going to have to pull this one up on your own phones. Couldn't find the picture. 30 through 21. And for those wondering at home, that would be Joey Bosa at 30, Bobby Wagner at 29, Quentin Nelson, guard of the Colts, at 28, Matthew Stafford, 27, Stephon Diggs, 26, Nick Bosa, 25, Jamar Chase, 24, Trevon Diggs, 23, George Kittle, 22, Joe Burrow, 21. And Matt's looking at me, so you want to go?
Yeah, this is like probably the most like controversial out of the top 10, 100. Um, the Bosa brothers, I love the Bosa brothers, man. They're both always consistent, especially Joey. Joey, I think he should be higher. Personally, I mean, he's in the same company as Junior Seau of 4 Pro Bowls in their first 5 seasons, had 10.5 sacks. I think he should be a little bit higher, just a little bit. You already know my Trayvon Diggs. You know, he's only in this list because he got thrown to a million times and has those 11 interceptions. No great cornerback gets thrown to. All right, that's just me. Jamar Chase, he should be much higher as well. They're probably giving him the rookie treatment, but he had an all-time great rookie season as well. George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league. He should be a little bit higher. This is a very like controversial top 20, like 20 players.
There's only so much higher you can go. Derek, you want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually think Trayvon Diggs deserves to be around 23. Maybe that's a little too high, but no other cornerback has been able to, he has the record for the most interceptions in a season now, right?
No.
He didn't get it?
Probably for a rookie, but not all
That
time.
makes sense.
14's the all time.
Okay.
Night Train, Dick
Well,
Lane, bro.
Yeah, so he really balled out last year, and like the Cowboys defense plays a lot of zone, so most of the yards that were counted against him weren't really against him. He was just following his zone. Jamar Chase, I do believe, deserves to be probably a little higher, maybe like 20, 21. Joe Burrow led a team that won 4 games the year before to the Super Bowl. So he definitely deserves to be higher. And then I think everybody else is pretty straightforward. Like Matt said, Joey Bosa deserves to be higher. Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa have been studs since Ohio State days, and now they're in the pros killing it. And this was like the first year Joey Bosa didn't like sustain a major injury, and he really balled out. So I think he deserves to be higher, closer to probably where Nick is. And then Bobby Wagner going down spots from the year prior when he was, a top 3 tackler, like he had top 3 stats and tackles, especially on a team like the Seahawks. He really kept that team winning 7 games.
Okay, Cameron, right? That's who's left. Okay, Cameron,
Um,
you go.
the two biggest problems I have is Matthew Stafford not being higher after the season he had and going to the Super Bowl. I'm surprised that he's not in the top 20. Everyone counted him out. Everyone thought he was mediocre, and then he finally proved that he is a very good quarterback. So I figured he'd be at least in the top 20. And then I also thought Stephon Diggs, he should be at least in the top 20 as well. I think he's probably the best wide receiver overall in the NFL. So yeah, those are the only two biggest issues I see.
I I, I love Matt Stafford, but does him lead in the league in interceptions? Would that change your thought?
No,
Okay.
because he just, I don't know, he literally came out of nowhere to win the Super Bowl. I think he deserves to be a little higher.
All right, all right. And I'll give a extra point to Derek for mentioning Bobby Wagner. Guess this was his career high in tackles. So I don't know how he goes down when he tops his record. So let's move up. 2.
Did you go, George?
Oh,
No, I haven't gone yet.
I apologize, George, just for that.
It's okay.
There you go, bro.
Hell yeah. I think I agree with most of the list, honestly. I do think Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow should be higher. Just having the season and like turnaround that they had in Cincinnati of all places is pretty historic in its own right. I think Quentin Nelson should be higher. I think he's best offensive lineman in football, and that should be recognized. And then Bobby Wagner, I agree with everybody, should be way higher. He's Mr. Consistent when it comes to middle linebacker, and he's done it for such a long time at this point. It's unarguable. That's all I got.
I will say one thing. I agree with Matt here. If it was me, I'd probably swap out that 2 for a 4 on Trevon Diggs and put him around 43. You can't lead the league in interceptions, but also get led on with yards given up. Yeah, that seems kind of mid to me. Are you agreeing with me, Matt?
I don't know if you. Oh, yeah, man. I don't know if you saw the video of them in training camp. I think they were going against the Panthers. I think Trayvon Diggs was just getting he was just getting torn apart. Even on man, dude was just like getting just wrecked in training camp, man. It's just like, yeah,
I seen that video of Keenan
put
Allen
him.
kind of making him look silly when he's like not looking and he just snatches the ball by his head. But
Yeah, that's crazy.
let's get to that top 20. This is where really, you really got to decide what you like and what you don't like. George, you want to start us off since I forgot you didn't go last time?
Thank you. I think Myles Garrett is a little high. I think he's a little overrated, and that's not biased at all.
You say that
Derrick
one more
Henry also
time,
should
I'm
be way
done.
higher.
Go ahead.
Derrick Henry should be way higher. He's just been super consistent as well, and he's easily the best running back in football. Josh Allen should arguably be a top 10 player in the NFL. He's right there with Patrick Mahomes in terms of like the next big thing. Tyreek Hill's fair. Parsons is crazy to be up at 16 already. And Debo's fair, I guess.
Part of me thinks they made him 19 since he wears 19. But Cameron, you want to go?
Yeah. I also think Derrick Henry needs to be in at least the top 10. He's the best running back in the NFL, period. I also think Tyreek Hill is a little overrated. He's really fast and he can catch the deep ball, but compared to Stephon Diggs, I don't think he's as good as a wide receiver. He's faster, but I don't think he has better hands. I don't think he's as reliable. But yeah, the rest I agree with most part.
All right. And
That's how you not be biased, Derek. You just hate Russell Wilson because he's on the Broncos.
I have stats to back it up.
Yeah, he had a great season.
all right.
3,000. You had the Teddy Bridgewater season.
Since we all know Derrick Henry's Derek's favorite player right now, Matt, would you like to go from here?
Yeah. Personally, I mean, Derrick Henry is easily the best running back in the league. I don't think why he didn't crack top 10 is just because of his injury in the beginning. So was that last year, right?
Yeah, he hurt his foot.
But yeah, so I think that's a pretty fair argument. Obviously, we're going to say he's the best running back in the league. If he played the whole season, he's going to be top 5 easily. Tyreek Hill, I would put him maybe down a spot or two and swap that with Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson is a little bit better of a product than Tyreek will be. I am also I want Deebo Samuel to be up higher, man. He had one of the most underrated seasons last year. And the fact that he's 19, I would put him as a top 15 player of last year, personally.
All right. Derek, you want to finish this off?
Yeah, Matt kind of stole my whole thing. So I'll start with the bottom of the list. Deebo Samuel, Justin Jefferson, both should be higher than Tyreek Hill. If you look at the stats, Deebo had 14 total touchdowns if you include rushing. He had, let me see, get the exact, about 1,750 yards total with the pass receiving and rushing. I mean, if you look at Tyreek's numbers, he had 9 total touchdowns and 1,200 receiving yards. And to put him over Deebo, who had 14 touchdowns total, and even his receiving yards was 200 more than Tyreek's. And then you look at Justin Jefferson. I personally believe Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league right now. Okay, besides Cooper Kupp, maybe because he's more consistent than say Devontae Adams. He's dealing with Kirk Cousins, who obviously was ranked 91 in the top 100. So Justin Jefferson and Deebo should both be closer to the 10. I honestly would put Justin Jefferson maybe even 10 or 9. Now, Derrick Henry, yes, he is the greatest running back to ever play the sport, but you can't take away.
Ever play the sport? Do you think that's a
It
little
was
hot?
It was a joke. It was a joke.
No.
But Derrick Henry's the best in the league right now, and he got hurt, and it seems like they're ranking people based off of injuries on this list. So to have Derrick Henry at 12 based off of not even hitting 1,000 yards last season is insane. So I would definitely bring him down. Josh Allen should go up. Josh Allen is balling out constantly. The only reason he overshadowed is because of Patrick Mahomes is the same age. So that's just crazy to me that Josh Allen is that low.
All right. I got to do this to y'all, man. Y'all mentioned everyone but J.C. Jackson and Shaq Leonard like they weren't even here. This is the top 20, guys.
They deserve where they are.
I know, but nobody even said their name. Y'all talk, or Trent Williams, I guess. All right, let's go on. The top 10. Tom Brady, Aaron Donald, Aaron Rodgers, Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, T.J. Watt, Devontae Adams, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Ramsey, Travis Kelce. And we'll go by least amount of points. Cameron, you want to go? Get as many points as you can, man.
Okay, I would have to put Aaron Rodgers as number 1 over Tom Brady, just for the fact that he was the MVP of last year and he threw way less interceptions than Tom Brady. I think they put Tom Brady at number 1 just for the fact that he's the GOAT. And I think I would put Travis Kelce over Jalen Ramsey, and I would put Patrick Mahomes over Aaron Donald. I would have Aaron Donald at number 3, Aaron Rodgers is number 1, and Patrick Mahomes at 2. But the rest of the list, I pretty much agree with.
All right. And now it's Derek.
So, looking at this list, Tom Brady does not deserve the number 1 spot. He does deserve to be in the top 10 because he had one of his best seasons in his career. But number 1 at 44 is crazy. Aaron Rodgers was the MVP, and to not give him the number 1 overall spot just does not make sense. Now, Jonathan Taylor getting way overhyped. He had a good season, 1,800 yards, but to have him at number 5 blows my mind. And Devontae Adams, I brought him up about the Justin Jefferson thing. He did have a better season. He had 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns. But again, he had Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. TJ Watt should probably be a little bit higher. Cooper Kupp had the greatest season a receiver could ask for. So to have him out of the top 3, nuts. So I would go Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, and then Patrick Mahomes, and then probably Devontae Adams or TJ Watt, because TJ Watt's consistent, defensive player of the year multiple times, double team breaks out of him, and then Travis Kelce is always going to be known as the greatest tight end of all time, not of all, of this like generation of tight ends right now. He kind of overshadows George Kittle to push George Kittle back, and then Jalen Ramsey's the best cornerback in the league right now. People are scared to throw to him. T. Higgins really loves to grab his face mask. But yeah, besides that, get Tom Brady out of number 1.
You said Tom would drop to what? 3 or 4?
No, probably like 5 or 6.
Oof. All right, George, it's you now.
All right. So I think they only got one person on this entire list correctly listed, and that's Cooper Kupp sitting at number 4. They put Brady and Donald at number 1 and 2 purely because they're the most talked about players in the league. Aaron Rodgers should be number 1. He won MVP. Number 2 should be TJ Watt. He had 22.5 sacks in 14 games played.
Okay.
And hands down the best defensive player in the league last year. Your top 2 spots should go to the top 2 players in the league, offensive and defensive. Aaron Rodgers, TJ Watt. Number 3, you could probably slap Brady in there because he did have a phenomenal season. Cooper Kupp's at 4. Jonathan Taylor shouldn't even be in the top 10, I think. He just had a really good rookie season, I guess. I think he's a rookie.
I think this is his second year.
Second year? All right.
Second
Still just had
year,
a breakout season, so I don't think he deserves to be like top 10 right away. Devontae Adams could probably move up to 5, or could probably just move up to 6, put Donald at 5. Mahomes is fine where he is. He had a decent season, and it's Patrick Mahomes. Ramsey's fine. Kelce and Kittle should be flipped.
All right, Matt, you need... Actually, it looks
You
like
wanted
you're in.
Kittle and Kelce flipped?
Yeah.
Not bad.
All right, go ahead,
Okay.
Matt.
All right, I agree with George. Like, I think the person that is like great where their spot is Cooper Kupp. Like, he had an amazing season last year, one of the best receiving years ever. I have some controversy with Tom Brady being 1, and the only reason why I would flip him and Aaron Rodgers with number 1 is solely based off of just winning the MVP. And him winning the MVP, he should be number 1 for that. But like, Tom Brady still threw for more yards, still had more touchdowns. He only had 2 more interceptions than Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, personally, statistically, and he broke multiple records. Yeah, he should be number 1, but I think Aaron Rodgers should be number 1 solely off of winning MVP. Aaron Donald, obviously, he's great. I agree with you though, George. TJ Watt had one of the such an amazing season. I'm surprised that they put him at 6. I think he should be top 2 or 3 for sure. And I'm putting Aaron Donald at 3. Yeah, TJ Watt was just an animal last year, man. Patrick Mahomes, decent season. He did not take care of the ball that well last year in the air, just threw so many interceptions. Jalen Ramsey, he's good. I can debate with Kelce and Kittle, but obviously the product of Mahomes and Travis Kelce, that's obviously a given top 10 compared to Garoppolo and Kittle. But that's my take.
I think everyone had their hands up at one point. Cameron, did you want to go?
Yeah. Tom Brady had 12 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers only had 4. That's all I wanted to say.
Brady posted a career number in 45 completions, passing yards 5,316, 43 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions in his 22nd season in the league. That's on NFL.com.
NFL.com be slobbing on Tom Brady's mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 3 different pages I looked at says 12 interceptions.
ESPN says 12.
Is that including playoffs?
I don't
Yeah, he
know.
had 5,316 yards, 12 interceptions
You're telling me he threw 6
in
interceptions
17
in 2 games, Jordan?
I don't know.
There's no way. I
And
got
Rodgers
some
only
about
What? It says this on NFL.com. I'm just going off of what NFL.com
I think that was last
says.
season before last COVID season.
Well, why does it say 5,316 passing yards
Ah,
and
shit, I don't know.
43 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in what his 22nd season in the league?
Yeah, ESPN also says 12 interceptions.
Well, get your facts straight, NFL. You're the NFL.
All right, George, did you have a response? It looked like you did.
I didn't know.
Oh, okay, Derek, you
I'm
did
just-
though. Your
I
hand
thought
was up,
someone was
right?
having some TJ Watt
I
slander.
just wanted to mention something about TJ Watt. Yeah, he had 22 and a half sacks. That's fantastic. That's, top tier level. He only had 64 total tackles.
So that
He only
means
played 14
a
games.
third of his tackles were sacks. Think of that. A third of his tackles were sacks.
I feel
But
like
that's
And he
all.
didn't play.
Then he's basically out of the equation after that. 64 tackles. That's like average number.
14 games.
But I feel like sacks are the most important thing you can do besides maybe an interview.
As that position, yeah.
Stop the running back.
It's
That's
3-on-1,
not
bro. I gotta
He's
give
an
them
edge
the
rusher.
points. I do have one argument for Matt though. So you said TJ Watt is 1 or 2?
No, I wouldn't put him at 1, but I'd probably put him at 2 or 3, and then Aaron Donald at 2 or 3. I think it could go either way, but based off of the season that TJ Watt had, I'd probably put him at 2. That's where I'm leaning towards, and then I'd probably put Tom Brady at 4.
So based on, you said it's because of the season TJ Watt had, right? It was really great.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Cooper Kupp be in the top 1, 2, or 3?
I guess my reasoning behind it is you look at the names that are on the top 3. They've solidified their career, and they've had this consistently. Where Cooper Kupp, this is his first year around being in the top 100, I think. So, or no, yeah, it's his second. It shows that he was in at 89 in 2020. So, I think the consistency brings him a little bit lower. That's just my take on it.
Sound like a cup of hater to me. Is what.
I have backed up Cooper Kupp every single time we've discussed about him.
All right. It looks like Matt and George are moving on. Let's see.
This is what I've been waiting for, George and Matt. Big balls.
Thought you made
Stand
good
off
arguments,
right here.
Cameron, but it seemed like you agreed with most of the list. We need them takes, bro. We need them hot takes.
To be fair, I didn't watch much football last year because I was tired of Tom Brady.
Fair enough. All right. Goodbye, man.
See ya.
All right, Derek.
Yeah, rebuttal to Cameron. He's not going to watch much football this year because he's going to get tired of Russ being the quarterback of the Broncos real quick.
Yeah. Just for that, now you don't know where you go. Why you didn't make it, son.
I don't care.
No,
You're
no,
biased. That's
nope.
why you're
Nope,
biased.
no, bro, son. Don't hate. You get muted, son. All right. Matt, George. Final topic to win the game. You guys are tied. Heads or tails on who goes first. And
Go, George.
Yeah, go ahead, George.
Tails never fails.
I gotta remember George always says that. Yeah, it's tails. All right. Who won this trade? And give me your breakdown, man. All of it. I need everything.
I think the Cavs won the trade. I can't lie. Donovan Mitchell's just a top tier player, and they have a good young core. And Danny Ainge is a mad scientist, and he just I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Utah. I can't believe they broke up like their entire core in a single off season. So I think the Jazz are in shambles, and this is a show for it.
All right. I'll let Matt go, and then if you have a response, and then if you have a response to his response. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, as much as I love Danny Ainge, I think of who is winning the trade right here and right now. And I'm going to go with the Cavaliers. They obviously won this trade. I'm surprised that they didn't even get rid of like any of their core players that, you know, made the 8th seed last year, with Colin Sexton being out the whole season last year. Like literally Markkanen had a decent season last year, but like they got rid of nobody, and they can probably just improve off of this, especially adding a good scorer to the Jazz. But or to the Cavaliers, but to the Jazz extent, I say whatever Danny Ainge is planning for the future, we'll just have to see how that bites the league in the butt, because he did get a lot of picks. He has a lot of picks with Rudy Gobert and Mitchell.
I'm trying to say. You got a rebuttal, George?
Not much of a rebuttal, just like maybe an add-on in that I guess the trade can really only be taken at face value for now, because who knows what those picks become, whether they become like KD or a really great unsung draft pick. But like we'll see eventually. But for right now, if the Cavs swept up, it's not even a conversation almost.
All right. You got anything to say to that, Matt?
Yeah, just one thing I have to say is there's something playing in the background. I can't even hear anything anybody say. But um, um, I what else is there to rebuttal about? I mean, in the end, like like I think I think that's I don't even know what to say, because what I already said. Danny ain't gonna do his science, whatever he does. I really, I think we all said something. George just took the words out of my mouth and, uh, you know, just basically made it a little prettier by adding Kevin Durant into the talk. But all I said was, Danny Ainge is gonna make them picks for the long run.
I don't know, man. It seems like just like Sam Hinkie, the pick was either like pretty nice, or who was that guy? Let's be real here.
What do you mean?
Did Danny Ainge have more great draft picks, or more they were there for a few seasons and then out? The James
Like I
Youngs,
said,
the
we'll
Terry
never know.
Roziers.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he draft freaking Jason Tatum and shoot, I don't know why his name's blanking out. Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
He did,
I
but I'm just
mean,
saying, for every one of those guys, you got a Terry Rozier, a James Young.
Well, we're calling Scary Terry a
hey,
bust now.
No, I'm
we
just saying
we
he's not
call him
there though.
scary.
Y'all let him
This
go.
is
Look, James Young is the only product that I could think of that really hasn't had a true payday. That has had a true payday. Look at Max Strus. We ended up cutting Max Strus, and he ends up being a key piece for the freaking Miami Heat. Jaylen Brown is getting his money. It's Danny Ainge. He knows. Look at Robert Williams. He's just like, it's Robert Williams, man. He was like one of the lowest draft picks. It's trading for a superstar or drafting, I don't know, maybe the next underrated star in the next draft. We'll just have to see. But just give me that extra point and we can go on another topic and we can argue about that, because George got the last pitch at it.
All right, NBA or NFL?
NFL.
You agree
Oh,
with it?
Derek's still in here. That's what I couldn't hear. Oh my God.
He's muted.
Derek was talking. Oh, I could hear him, man.
All right, we'll go NFL.
All right.
Give me a year.
Oh, like
Just any
are you
year.
asking us?
Yeah, give me a year.
2013.
2013.
Oh, great.
All right, I'll give you guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, tough year.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think you guys are getting any of these.
I remember it was a tough year.
Uh, I'll give you a chance to pick another year if you want.
All right, Matt, you pick a year.
2007.
Oh, bro, that's gonna be even harder. Okay, you guys might get. Oh man, this is. All right, no, forget it. We'll do something else. I was gonna say name. Like, I'll give you guys 3 shots each at who was in the 2007 or 13 Hall of Fame class. But y'all, I swear,
man.
maybe would get 1.
Yeah, that one would have been tough.
All right. Receiving yards, 2007. Top 10. I'll give you guys 3 guesses each. And y'all want to do receptions, yards, or touchdowns?
Let's just do yards. Let's make it easy.
Yeah.
Yards. Top 10 guys. Look like George had the lead for the longest. So, George, go.
I'm going to take a shot in the dark with Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison. No. I'll give you
No?
guys 5
Dang.
guesses each for 10.
What year is this again?
Bro, you pick the
07.
year.
Oh, so we're sticking with my year.
Yeah, 07.
And I'm gonna go with Tony Gonzalez.
Tony
Damn, that was a good
Gonzalez.
shot.
Don't see him.
Wow.
Actually, Tony's 11, so nope.
Oh,
George?
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss. 2.
Let's go.
Matt?
Oh man. Was freaking is Torrey Holt still in the league? Oh my
Torrey
gosh.
Holt, 9.
2007? Okay.
Wow,
Oh my
George.
god.
Oh. You there?
Yeah. That was my turn now.
Yeah.
Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne, 1. Matt?
Let's go.
Wow, good one. Hines Ward.
Hines Ward? Nope.
Ah,
George?
Santonio Holmes.
Santonio Holmes? Nope. Matt?
Oof.
Matt, you need both of these.
I know.
Just for a chance to tie, you need both of these.
I'm trying to think of his name. It's a tight end.
Well, I mean,
Why can't I think of his name?
to save us time,
I think I know who you're trying to think.
actually, go ahead.
I truly can't think of his name. I wish I could say his name, but I know who he plays for. But
Giants?
huh?
Giants?
No.
All right, George,
Oh,
just
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say,
Just go ahead, man.
Go
Your
ahead.
turn, George.
Jeremy Shockey?
Is that your guess?
Yeah, why not?
No.
Dang.
Matt, this is to tie it, bro, or to lose the game.
Okay, let's do this. Why can't I think of his name right now, man? This is insane. Can't even think of receivers from a freaking. I doubt he's like even freaking in the league at this point. I don't even know, but I'm just gonna say, oh, Chad Ochocinco. Let's do that.
Did you pull it up?
No, I swear to God, no. He just came to my mind, man.
He was 3. All right,
Oh my gosh!
I'll,
Wow,
s-
that was
I'll
good.
switch it then. All right, you said 2013, George.
Yeah.
All right, we're going 2013 touchdown leaders.
Receiving?
You guys want receiving or rushing?
Both sound hard.
Let's do rushing.
All right, rushing. I'm only giving you guys
Rushing
3
touchdown?
guesses. Yes. Only 3 guesses each. Top 5 to avoid the tie. And since
Okay.
George went first last time, Matt, you can go first.
Oh my gosh! I really hope this is it. Jamal Charles.
Yep, he's one.
That was gonna be my fucking guess. God damn it. I don't even know. 2013. DeMarco Murray.
Negative.
Dang.
Matt?
I truly don't even know what year he retired, but he's probably way out of his freaking prime. I'm gonna go with LT.
Nope. George?
Okay, that was a shot.
Shit. LeGarrette Blunt.
Nope.
I don't
Matt?
even think he was in the league at that time.
Nah, I think he was in the
Last
Bucks
guess.
back then.
This is to
Okay,
end George, bro, if you can get one more. Come on, just name somebody.
No Sean Moreno.
Yeah, he is fourth.
Are you serious?
Damn.
Oh my god.
He had 10 touchdowns that year. You want to just throw a name
Wow.
out there, George?
What an awful
Wow.
year. I mean, a fourth. Doug Martin, was he in the Bucks 2013? I don't even remember.
Nope. So the top 5 was
Nope.
Jamal Charles, Marshawn Lynch, Eddie Lacy, No Sean Marino, Adrian
Lynch.
Oh
Peterson.
my god.
What an awful
Oh
year.
my god, bro. AP, man.
And then
AP and Marshawn.
Receivers, it was like Larry Fitzgerald. You guys said Reggie Wayne. TJ
Larry was gonna be my
Hushmanzada.
final guess.
If you can
Wow.
believe that.
Fuck TJ Hooten.
Yeah, guys like that. But yeah, that went longer than I thought. Matt's the champ. Good show today, George.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
I'll give you 5 seconds
Congrats,
to say
man.
whatever you want. And that's 5. All right, Matt, you wanna take your minute?
Busy crying.
Take your minute to
I
shine,
didn't
bro.
want to lose the fucking minute.
Yeah, shout out to George. Finally got a face off with him. That's what I've been waiting for this whole time playing this show. Just wanted to show who had the real big balls. Big balls are sports right here, baby. But no Sean Moreno. What came to my head was just you crying at the national anthem. That's the only way I got your name, was just seeing that huge tear drop down your face. I don't even know if that was 2013 or not, but yeah. Thank you. 3-time chance, first time.
All right, thanks for being on. Hour